Long before the confusion, before the stumbles in speech and the blank stares, Elon Musk was a boy who read encyclopedias for fun. Born in Pretoria, South Africa, in 1971, he was the kind of child who lived more in his imagination than in the world around him. He would often stare out the window during dinner, mentally calculating energy output ratios or visualizing engines that could power a rocket to Jupiter. At age 12, he coded and sold a video game. At 17, he moved to North America alone, carrying a suitcase and a belief that technology could reshape humanity. That belief became the fuel for everything he built. Elon didn't just chase ideas, he wrestled them into form. From the inception of Zip2 to the turbulent creation of X.com and the eventual rise of PayPal, he carved out a name in an unforgiving world of tech disruption. But those were only stepping stones. Tesla and SpaceX weren't just companies. They were personal obsessions, lifelines to the future he envisioned when he was a boy lost in thought. Those close to him described his personality as polarizing, brilliant, yes, but often absent, sometimes cold, even ruthless. He wasn't built for small talk or sentiment. His emotions, when visible, were like lightning, sudden, powerful, and rare. He loved deeply but awkwardly. His children were both his legacy and his guilt, reminders of the time he couldn't always give. Still, when he spoke of them, his voice would soften, and the storm in his eyes would settle. He remembered holding his firstborn son, Nevada, who died of sudden infant death syndrome at just 10 weeks old. That pain never left. It buried itself in his work ethic, in his obsession with control and permanence. Losing a child meant that nothing could ever feel truly safe again, not memory, not relationships, not life. His marriages told the story of a man at odds with his own heart. His love life was a series of passionate beginnings and inevitable implosions. Justine, Tallulah, Grimes, each relationship carried the strain of being with someone whose mind never stopped moving. Elon once told a friend, "It's hard to be close to someone when your brain is always solving a different problem." Still, he tried. He had friends, though few who really knew him. He had engineers he trusted, and a small circle of confidants who had stood by him through disasters, rockets exploding on launch pads, supply chain nightmares, SEC lawsuits, near bankruptcy moments at Tesla. They respected his mind, but they also saw the cracks forming long before he did. His brother Kimball was one of the first to notice changes. They had always been close, business partners, childhood comrades, dreamers of grand futures. But during a lunch in Boulder, Kimball asked Elon about the Neuralink project's latest stage, and Elon stared at him blankly before asking, "What project?" At first, Kimball laughed, thinking it was a joke. But Elon wasn't smiling. He was searching his memory like a man flipping through empty pages. Kimball didn't press it then, but the moment lingered. Another clue. Another ripple in the fabric of a mind once sharper than any machine. Elon's assistant, Marla, saw the changes too. Meeting notes that made no sense. Appointments he didn't remember scheduling. Emails that he sent twice, with slightly different thoughts. One day, he introduced her to the same investor 3 times in one meeting. She began writing reminders on yellow post-its and leaving them in places she hoped he'd see: his laptop, his fridge, his car dashboard. Elon pretended not to notice the pity in her eyes. The hardest part wasn't the forgetting. It was the slow awareness that he was no longer the man he had built himself to be. His identity had always been fused with cognition, with the speed and precision of thought. He was the man who could map out 10 years of engineering design in a single weekend. Now he struggled to remember where he left his glasses. There was a night when he sat alone in his Bel Air mansion, surrounded by windows that looked out over the city. The lights stretched out like constellations, blinking in rhythm with the pulse of a world he once had a hand in shaping. He poured himself a glass of wine, took a sip, and set it down, only to forget seconds later where he'd placed it. When he finally found the glass, he looked at his reflection in the darkened window. He didn't recognize the face looking back. It wasn't age, it was something deeper, more distant. The mind of a giant, beginning to flicker. He remembered his mother reading to him from Carl Sagan's Cosmos. He remembered thinking that the universe was vast but knowable. That all things could be understood if you just thought hard enough. Now, he wasn't so sure. Elon started keeping notebooks, old-fashioned spiral-bound ones, nothing digital. He wrote down his thoughts each morning and reviewed them each night. Sometimes they made sense. Sometimes they didn't. He read back entries and couldn't remember writing them. He once found a diagram of a new battery architecture in his handwriting, with calculations so complex that even he couldn't follow the logic. "I don't know if this is brilliance or madness," he whispered aloud. Then he laughed, because it might be both. He began recording voice memos, narrating his day, in case the days began to blur. He started therapy. The first few sessions, he sat in silence, arms crossed, resisting the vulnerability he so often avoided. But gradually, words came. He spoke of legacy. Of fear. Of the terrifying idea that he might forget the names of his children. That one day, he might stand on a Tesla factory floor and not remember building it. The therapist asked, "What do you fear more, forgetting who you are, or everyone else forgetting?" Elon didn't answer, but his silence said enough. This was the man who had launched his car into space because he wanted something to last longer than memory. And now his own memory was crumbling. In his darker moments, he wondered if he deserved it. The sacrifices. The relationships he had neglected. The sleep he'd never caught up on. The stress, the pressure, the caffeine-fueled nights of pushing and never stopping. Maybe this was his body's way of pushing back. Maybe his brain had decided it had done enough. But in his clearer moments, he knew this wasn't about punishment. It was about reality. And he, of all people, had never been one to run from reality. He faced it. Shaped it. Bent it toward the future. So that night, he made a decision. He would talk to his team. He would bring in specialists. He would not hide. Not completely. He would control what he could. He would share what was safe to share. But more importantly, he would learn. He would study his condition the way he had studied electric propulsion or orbital mechanics. He would catalog every symptom, every change, every pattern. He would use himself as a data point, a test subject, a case study in the most personal experiment of his life. Because if this was the next chapter of his story, he was going to write it, word by word, memory by memory, until the ink ran out. And maybe, just maybe, he could help others do the same. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The first time he forgot his own phone number, Elon Musk laughed. It was the kind of short, clipped laugh that masked anxiety. He was standing in the lobby of a secure lab facility, needing to verify his identity, and the digits simply vanished. The security guard raised an eyebrow, and Elon covered the lapse by asking Marla to handle it, pretending he had recently changed phones. But the truth was clearer than ever now, something inside him was unraveling. The lapses were no longer rare, they were happening daily, creeping into meetings, calls, strategy sessions, moments with his children. He would start a sentence and then pause, staring into the air, lost in search of a word that had disappeared mid-thought. On video calls with his engineering teams, he fumbled concepts he had once mastered, referring to powertrains as those energy converter things, or forgetting the abbreviation for lithium iron phosphate. At first, his team chalked it up to exhaustion or preoccupation, but it became harder to ignore. During a quarterly strategy meeting, he called on a designer who had resigned 3 years earlier. The room went silent. Elon noticed, realized the error, and muttered something about needing a break. In private, he cursed himself. His notebooks were now full of corrections, red marks, and reminders. He tried to get ahead of the errors by reviewing every meeting agenda in advance, writing himself cheat sheets with names, titles, and keywords. But it felt like he was building a dam out of paper against an oncoming tide. His brother Kimball called more often. At first, their conversations were normal, but soon, they began to revolve around the same topics, looping every few weeks. Kimball noticed Elon repeating himself, recounting stories he had just told days earlier. One night, after hanging up, Kimball sat quietly on his porch, holding his phone in his lap, staring at nothing. He knew something was deeply wrong. May Musk, ever protective of her son, tried to remain calm. She flew in again, making excuses to visit and stay longer. During one dinner, Elon forgot her birthday. She didn't say anything, just smiled gently and helped him with his fork when he forgot which hand to use. These were the moments that hurt more than the business fumbles. These were the moments that made it real. Elon had always believed that the mind could be pushed, trained, optimized. He had studied neural plasticity, funded brain-computer interface research, launched Neuralink with the belief that consciousness could evolve alongside machines. Now, irony curled its way into his life like smoke. His own mind, the very thing he had sworn to enhance, was failing. One night, he walked into the living room and stood in front of the fireplace for 20 minutes, unsure why he had come there. He stared at the flame, mesmerized, his mind blank. It was Marla who found him. "You okay?" she asked softly. He turned to her, nodded slowly, and said, "Just, buffering." It was a joke, but his voice lacked humor. He began pulling away from the public more. No tweets. No interviews. Shareholders started to worry. Rumors spread. Was Elon sick? Burned out? Planning to step down? At Tesla headquarters, board members exchanged guarded emails about succession plans. At SpaceX, engineers whispered about a restructuring. Elon read some of those threads, felt the panic tighten his chest. He had built an empire by being omnipresent, by outworking, outthinking, and outdreaming everyone. Now he felt like a ghost drifting through his own companies. And yet, there were still moments of clarity, fleeting but powerful. Like the time he explained a new energy storage system to a junior engineer with flawless precision. Or the afternoon he spent coding alone in the basement lab, building a new control interface for a SpaceX telemetry dashboard. Those moments were like finding sunlight in a dark tunnel. But they were fewer now. Each peak followed by a deeper valley. Marla, increasingly more than an assistant, began taking notes during meetings not for herself, but for Elon. She would quietly slide summaries to him before investor calls. He started wearing a smartwatch loaded with reminders and notes he recorded into his voice memos. He was adapting, but he knew adaptation was only a temporary defense. The truth couldn't be outrun. During a private dinner with his executive team, he tried to discuss the next 5-year vision for Tesla. He got through the first few minutes, but then blanked out halfway through a point about solar integration. His mouth moved, but the words didn't come. He looked at their faces, concerned, awkward, pretending not to notice. He put his hands on the table, nodded, and said, "Let's revisit this next week." Afterward, he sat in his car for over an hour, unable to start the engine. Just staring at his reflection in the windshield, wondering if the future he'd envisioned for humanity would arrive before his own mind left him behind. He thought often of his children. What would they remember about him? Would they remember the times he tucked them in or the times he missed birthdays? Would they see him as the man who changed the world or the man who forgot how to say, "I love you," at the end? That night, he recorded a message. Just his voice, speaking into a digital recorder, addressed to all his children. He talked about Mars, about Tesla, about ideas. But more than that, he talked about them, how proud he was, how sorry he was for the time he missed, how deeply he loved them. He ended the message with something simple: "Even if I forget everything else, remember that I never forgot you." It was his insurance policy against the cruel erosion of memory. Meanwhile, the doctors continued their tests. Cognitive decline, they confirmed, consistent with early-onset Alzheimer's. Not fast-moving, but progressive. Manageable with the right treatment, but irreversible. Elon took the news without drama. No yelling, no denial. Just a quiet nod and a request for every scrap of data they had. He wanted to know the science, the odds, the precedents. He asked questions the way only he could, probing, deep, challenging. But inside, he already knew. He had known for months. This was the confirmation. The cracks beneath the surface were now fault lines. He began researching therapies, experimental, mainstream, fringe. He reached out to universities, biotech firms, independent researchers. He used his wealth and power not to hide the truth but to fight it. Not just for himself, but for the millions of people quietly slipping into the same void. If he could fund a rocket to Mars, he could fund a roadmap through memory loss. His mission had shifted. This wasn't about saving the planet or colonizing space anymore. It was about saving minds, starting with his own. And so, the rising conflict of Elon Musk's life took form not in boardrooms or launchpads, but in the quiet, desperate struggle to hold on to the essence of who he was. Because once the mind goes, everything else follows. When Elon Musk first realized his mind was failing, he was not ready for what came next. The journey into dementia was like stepping off a cliff without knowing if there was a net below. Every morning, he awoke with the faint hope that today might be different, that the fog would lift, that the brilliant clarity would return. But too often, it didn't. He faced a labyrinth of new challenges, schedules that vanished, conversations that faded mid-sentence, names and faces slipping through the cracks of memory. It was a daily battle, a war waged inside the fortress of his mind. And like any journey into the unknown, it was terrifying, humbling, and at times, surreal. Elon decided early on that he wouldn't let this illness define him. If anything, it had to become part of the story he was telling, part of the legacy he would leave. He began documenting every moment, every symptom, every flash of confusion or clarity. He filled notebooks with observations, how he felt before and after meetings, which medications seemed to dull or sharpen his mind, how sleep patterns affected his focus. His team helped him create a digital timeline, tagging events and moods to better understand the progression. Traveling became harder. On trips to Tesla factories, SpaceX launch sites, or meetings with government officials, Elon needed assistance. His personal assistant Marla became indispensable, often reminding him of details he'd forgotten 5 minutes earlier. Despite the support, there were moments of acute embarrassment. At a conference in Washington, D.C., Elon stumbled over a question about battery chemistry, a subject he once could lecture on for hours. Reporters noticed the falter, social media buzzed with speculation. Elon took it all in stride, but inside, the sting was deep. He was no stranger to public scrutiny, but this was different. This was an erosion from within. Elon threw himself into science, immersing himself in neurology research like never before. He spoke openly with his doctors, absorbing data on amyloid plaques, tau proteins, and neurodegeneration. He pushed for access to experimental treatments, tracking clinical trials across the globe. He funded brain imaging technology, hoping to detect patterns before symptoms worsened. In the process, he discovered communities of people just like him, early-onset dementia patients who refused to give up. He connected with families, researchers, and activists, becoming an unlikely advocate for awareness. But the journey was also deeply personal. He wrestled with his own emotions, fear, frustration, anger, hope. One evening, alone in his home overlooking the Pacific, he recorded a video diary. His voice was raw, vulnerable. "This isn't the ending I imagined," he said. "But maybe it's the next chapter. If I can share this, maybe someone else will feel less alone." That night, he posted the video online, breaking the silence around a condition often hidden in shame. The response was overwhelming. Messages flooded in from strangers, survivors, caregivers, thanking him for his honesty. For the first time in months, Elon felt connected, not isolated. Yet, the illness continued to present new challenges. Simple tasks became mountains to climb. During a visit to a Tesla assembly line, Elon struggled to operate the touchscreen controls that he had helped design. He frustrated the engineers by forgetting key details of a prototype. He caught himself wandering the halls, unsure of where he was headed. His family worried, but he pushed back against their concern. "I'm still me," he insisted. "I may be slower, but the mission stays the same." The emotional toll was heavy. There were nights when he lay awake, haunted by the possibility of losing his mind entirely. He thought about his children, his parents, and the future they would face without him. But in those dark moments, he also found clarity, an appreciation for the fragile beauty of memory and identity. Elon began exploring mindfulness, meditation, and therapies designed to slow cognitive decline. He practiced gratitude daily, focusing on small victories, remembering a colleague's name, completing a meeting without confusion, sharing a joke with his children. He realized that hope wasn't just about recovery, it was about acceptance and resilience. Alongside medical treatments, he experimented with technology. Neuralink, once a far-off dream, took on new urgency. Could a brain-computer interface restore what was being lost? Could it help record memories, enhance cognition, or even slow deterioration? His teams accelerated development, testing new prototypes on volunteers. The stakes felt higher than ever. The public followed these developments closely, inspired by Elon's transparency and determination. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, he continued to grapple with moments of despair. During a private dinner, he confused his daughter's name with that of a colleague. The slip was met with silence, and Elon felt the weight of 1,000 lost moments. But then his daughter smiled and said, "It's okay, Dad. I know who you are." That simple forgiveness became a lifeline. Through it all, Elon learned to lean on others. He opened up to close friends, admitting vulnerability he had long hidden. He found solace in shared stories of loss and hope. He embraced the imperfect humanity in himself. This journey, as harrowing as it was, taught him new lessons about strength and love. Elon's story became one not just about dementia, but about the human spirit's capacity to endure, adapt, and find meaning amid uncertainty. Each day was a gift, a challenge, and an opportunity. And while the road ahead remained uncertain, he faced it with courage and an unwavering belief in the power of hope. The day Elon Musk faced the truth head-on was a turning point unlike any other in his life. It was not marked by a dramatic announcement or public spectacle, but by a quiet, intimate moment that shook him to his core. Sitting in the sterile office of his neurologist, he watched the scanned images flicker on the screen. The patterns were unmistakable, areas of his brain showing deterioration consistent with early-onset dementia. He had known this day was coming, but knowing and accepting were worlds apart. The doctor spoke calmly, outlining treatment options, prognosis, and the uncertain path ahead. But Elon was beyond clinical terms, he was confronting the unraveling of the very thing that made him, his mind. Emotions surged in waves. Fear threatened to drown him, but beneath it burned a fierce resolve. He remembered the boy who had dreamed of changing the world, who had built rockets from scraps and revolutionized entire industries. Was this the end? Or a new beginning? Back home, the walls of his office felt smaller than ever. He sat alone, heart pounding, mind racing with memories and questions. His first wife, Justine, came to mind, their youthful hopes and bitter parting. His children, their laughter and innocence. His mother's gentle strength. The weight of loss pressed heavily, but somewhere in that ache was clarity. This was no longer just a battle for survival, it was a quest for meaning. In the days that followed, Elon shared the diagnosis with only a few trusted confidants. He feared the stigma, the pity, the potential impact on his legacy. Yet, hiding the truth felt like a betrayal of everything he stood for. Slowly, he began to open up, first in private conversations, then publicly through carefully crafted messages. His vulnerability resonated with many, people who had faced similar fears, who felt isolated by their own struggles. Elon's voice became a beacon, shedding light on a condition often shrouded in silence. But the emotional climax was not just about acceptance, it was about transformation. He poured his energy into advocacy, funding new research and pushing the boundaries of science. He collaborated with leading experts, seeking breakthroughs that could alter the course of dementia treatment. His work with Neuralink took on profound urgency. Could technology restore what was being lost? At the same time, he grappled with personal challenges. Relationships strained under the weight of his illness. Misunderstandings multiplied. Moments of anger and frustration erupted unexpectedly. His family oscillated between hope and heartbreak, clinging to the man they loved even as he changed before their eyes. Elon found solace in unexpected places. Nature, with its rhythms and resilience, became a refuge. He spent hours walking through gardens, reflecting on the cycles of growth and decay. Music stirred memories long forgotten, bridging the gap between past and present. He journaled relentlessly, capturing thoughts, fears, and glimpses of clarity. These writings became a testament to his journey, a raw, unfiltered chronicle of a mind in flux. One night, as he sat by the fireplace with his children gathered around, Elon felt a surge of emotion so intense it brought tears to his eyes. He spoke candidly about his fears, hopes, and love. The room was silent except for the crackling fire and the steady rhythm of breathing. In that moment, the boundaries between illness and identity blurred. Elon was not just a visionary entrepreneur. He was a father, a son, a man confronting his own fragility with courage. The climax of his emotional journey was not marked by victory or defeat, but by profound acceptance. He understood that dementia did not erase his humanity, it revealed it in new, poignant ways. It forced him to confront what truly mattered: connections, love, and the legacy of kindness. This realization transformed Elon's approach to life and work. He shifted focus from grandiose projects to deeply personal ones, supporting caregivers, funding educational programs, and championing dignity for those affected by cognitive decline. His message was clear: early signs of dementia must never be ignored, and those who face it deserve compassion, understanding, and hope. Through this emotional climax, Elon Musk emerged not only as a symbol of innovation but as a testament to resilience. His story illuminated the complexity of the human experience, where brilliance meets vulnerability, and where hope persists even in the face of profound loss. It was a moment that redefined him and inspired countless others to confront their own challenges with strength and grace. After the storm of emotions and revelations, Elon Musk found himself in a new place, one defined not by fear or denial, but by a deep, quiet acceptance. The diagnosis of early-onset dementia was no longer a secret he guarded with shame but a part of his story he embraced with courage. The journey that had begun with confusion and loss had transformed into a path toward understanding and connection. Life, Elon realized, was unpredictable, full of twists that could either break you or make you stronger. In this chapter of his life, he chose the latter. His days became more intentional. He spent more time with family, savoring moments that once might have seemed mundane. The sound of his daughter's laughter, the warmth of his mother's hands, the quiet companionship of old friends. These small fragments of joy stitched together a tapestry of meaning. At the same time, Elon's work took on new dimensions. He refocused his formidable intellect and resources on causes close to his heart: dementia research, brain health, and caregiving support. He partnered with leading scientists and institutions, pushing for innovation that transcended profit and fame. The technology once aimed at reaching Mars now had the potential to reach into the depths of the human brain, to preserve memory and identity in the face of decline. Through public appearances and candid interviews, Elon shared his story with honesty and vulnerability. His openness helped dismantle stigma, encouraging others to seek help early and speak openly about their experiences. Awareness campaigns he funded reached millions, shining light on the importance of recognizing early signs of dementia. But beyond the public sphere, Elon's internal transformation was profound. He learned to be present, to accept help without seeing it as weakness, to forgive himself for moments of forgetfulness, and to cherish the love that surrounded him. His relationship with Marla deepened, evolving from assistant to trusted companion, a partner in both struggle and hope. He wrote letters to his children, not just about the past but about the future, hopes for their happiness, lessons in resilience, and assurances of his enduring love. Reflection became a daily practice. Elon meditated on the impermanence of life, the nature of identity, and the power of compassion. He found solace in philosophy, poetry, and the arts, exploring questions that no amount of engineering or technology could fully answer. One evening, sitting quietly by the window watching the sunset, Elon felt a peace he had not known in years. The fight was not over, but the fear had lessened. He understood that life's value was not measured solely by achievement but by connection, kindness, and the courage to face the unknown. As the days passed, Elon continued to inspire those around him, not just through his past accomplishments but through the grace with which he embraced his present reality. His story became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of devastating challenges, the human spirit could shine brightly. In the end, Elon Musk's journey through early dementia taught a universal lesson, that life's true meaning is found not in perfection or control but in love, sacrifice, and the ability to keep moving forward. Life is full of surprises, he said in a heartfelt message to the world, but love will always lead the way. And with that, he left a legacy far greater than rockets or electric cars, a legacy of courage, vulnerability, and hope for all who face the uncertain path of dementia. In the early days of his cognitive decline, Elon Musk found that the first signs of dementia were almost imperceptible, small shifts that might easily be mistaken for stress, fatigue, or simple forgetfulness. Yet, these subtle changes carried a significance that would soon become impossible to ignore. It began with moments of lost concentration. During high-stakes meetings, Elon noticed his mind wandering more frequently, the laser focus that had driven his innovations now flickering like a fading signal. He would catch himself rereading emails, struggling to grasp details that had once been second nature. Names of longtime colleagues slipped away like whispers on the wind. These lapses were unsettling but dismissed at first as symptoms of his relentless workload. As weeks turned into months, the signs became more persistent. Elon's ability to recall recent conversations weakened. He found himself repeating stories within hours, a behavior he never before displayed. This repetition caused awkward moments with friends and family, who sometimes exchanged worried glances. Despite his intelligence and experience, Elon began to struggle with planning and organizing even simple tasks. Scheduling meetings became a labyrinthine challenge, with double bookings and forgotten appointments creeping into his calendar. The sharp problem-solving skills that had fueled breakthroughs now faltered under the weight of confusion. His sleep patterns changed dramatically, restless nights followed by days marked with lethargy and brain fog. Physical coordination also declined. Elon noticed slight clumsiness and tremors that seemed to come and go unpredictably. These symptoms painted a picture that didn't fit the busy, robust entrepreneur everyone knew. He began documenting each incident, hoping to find patterns or explanations. The physical and emotional toll was significant. The frustration of knowing something was wrong but not understanding the cause gnawed at him. He wrestled with denial, pushing to maintain control while his body and mind betrayed him. Family members grew increasingly concerned. His children noticed his forgetfulness and occasional irritability. His mother, who had always been a pillar of strength, gently urged him to seek professional evaluation. It was a difficult conversation, but one that marked a turning point. Elon's first visit to a neurologist confirmed what he feared: these were early symptoms of dementia. The diagnosis was sobering, yet it also provided a framework for understanding the changes he was experiencing. Early detection was crucial, as it offered the best chance to slow progression and plan for the future. This chapter of Elon's journey underscores a vital lesson: early signs of dementia are often subtle, easily dismissed or misattributed. Awareness and vigilance are essential. Changes in memory, cognition, behavior, and physical coordination should never be ignored, especially when they interfere with daily life. For anyone observing such signs in themselves or loved ones, seeking medical advice promptly can make all the difference. Elon's experience serves as a powerful reminder that dementia doesn't strike suddenly, it whispers first, through small, persistent changes. Recognizing these signals early opens the door to treatment, support, and a chance to preserve quality of life for as long as possible. Through this awareness, hope emerges even in the shadow of uncertainty. One of the most recognizable and alarming signs of dementia is memory loss that disrupts daily life, a symptom Elon Musk came to confront with increasing clarity as his journey progressed. At first, the forgetfulness was mild, misplacing keys, forgetting appointments, or struggling to recall the names of acquaintances. These small lapses could easily be brushed off as the byproduct of a busy mind or mounting stress. Yet, as days went by, the pattern deepened and grew more troubling. Elon found himself forgetting important meetings, a devastating slip for someone whose life revolved around precise schedules and cutting-edge innovation. He missed deadlines and occasionally failed to remember critical project details discussed just hours earlier. The memory loss extended beyond simple forgetfulness into a dangerous zone. Elon once found himself wandering the halls of his own company, unsure of where he was headed or why. He had trouble retracing his steps, a clear sign that the short-term memory which helps us navigate everyday tasks was faltering. His team noticed the changes and tried to accommodate, but it became clear that the problem was not temporary or trivial. This type of memory loss interfered with Elon's ability to function at a high level, something that previously came naturally to him. It was a blow not only to his work but also to his self-esteem and identity. He feared that forgetting would rob him of the essence of who he was. At home, the effects were just as profound. Elon forgot birthdays, anniversaries, and even the names of some of his children's friends. Family dinners were punctuated by moments where he would repeat stories or ask the same questions multiple times. The subtle frustration in his loved ones' eyes was heartbreaking. They wanted to support him, but the constant repetition and confusion took a toll on their patience and understanding. These experiences highlighted a painful truth: memory loss from dementia is not just about forgetting, it's about the gradual erosion of shared experiences and the fabric of relationships. Elon's case also illustrated the importance of distinguishing normal age-related forgetfulness from dementia-related memory loss. Everyone forgets things occasionally, but when memory problems begin to interfere with routine activities, cause safety concerns, or impact emotional well-being, it's time to take notice. Medical professionals emphasize the need for early diagnosis and intervention. Cognitive tests, brain scans, and evaluations help determine the extent of impairment and rule out other causes like medication side effects or depression. Early intervention offers the best chance to manage symptoms and maintain independence. Elon became a vocal advocate for this message, urging people not to ignore memory loss or chalk it up to mere aging. He encouraged friends, colleagues, and followers to be proactive, pay attention to changes, seek assessments, and embrace support networks. His openness helped break down stigma and open conversations about a subject many feared. Beyond the medical perspective, Elon's experience shed light on coping strategies that can make a difference in daily life. Memory aids such as planners, digital reminders, and structured routines helped mitigate the impact of forgetfulness. Engaging in mental exercises, social interactions, and physical activity also supported cognitive health. Importantly, he learned to be patient with himself, accepting limitations without losing hope. Elon's journey through memory loss underscored the complex emotional landscape of dementia. It was a constant balancing act between fear and acceptance, loss and hope. It reminded everyone watching that behind every symptom is a person fighting to hold on to their identity and dignity. Ultimately, recognizing memory loss early and addressing it with compassion, medical care, and lifestyle adjustments can change the course of dementia for individuals and families alike. Elon Musk's story, marked by brilliance and vulnerability, continues to inspire a more informed, empathetic approach to this challenging condition. One of the less obvious but equally concerning early signs of dementia is the increasing difficulty in planning or solving problems, a challenge Elon Musk faced as his condition progressed. For a man who thrived on innovation and strategic thinking, these cognitive changes struck deeply, undermining his confidence and ability to lead. At first, the problems were small and easy to dismiss, forgetting the steps in a familiar recipe, miscalculating expenses, or struggling to follow multi-step instructions. However, these minor mishaps soon snowballed into more significant challenges. Elon found himself unable to focus on complex projects or devise solutions as quickly or effectively as before. The intricate thought processes that once flowed effortlessly now required conscious effort and frequent pauses. His engineers and collaborators noticed the shift as well. During brainstorming sessions, Elon's contributions became less sharp, and he struggled to keep track of multiple threads of discussion. Decisions that once came naturally were met with hesitation or confusion. These cognitive hurdles deeply frustrated him, as they touched the core of his identity as a visionary problem solver. The challenges extended beyond the workplace into daily life. Simple tasks like balancing a checkbook, managing appointments, or organizing travel plans became overwhelming. Elon's inability to plan ahead led to missed deadlines, forgotten meetings, and a growing sense of chaos. This loss of executive function, the brain's ability to organize, plan, and carry out tasks, is a hallmark of dementia and can severely impact independence. Emotionally, these struggles weighed heavily. Elon experienced bouts of anxiety and self-doubt, fearing that his diminishing mental sharpness would diminish his value and legacy. He grappled with the frustration of knowing what needed to be done but lacking the cognitive clarity to execute. Family members also felt the ripple effects. They stepped in to help organize schedules and manage details, a role reversal that was both necessary and painful. Conversations sometimes became tense as Elon resisted assistance, wanting to maintain control despite his difficulties. Recognizing these changes prompted Elon to seek support from healthcare professionals specializing in cognitive disorders. Through therapy and coaching, he learned strategies to compensate for executive function deficits. Breaking tasks into smaller steps, using visual reminders, and relying on trusted aides helped manage the growing complexity of daily life. Moreover, medical interventions aimed at slowing cognitive decline became a focal point of his treatment plan. Elon's experience highlighted an important truth: difficulties with planning and problem-solving are not simply signs of aging or stress but can be early indicators of dementia requiring attention. Public awareness around these symptoms is critical, as early recognition allows for timely intervention and support. Elon used his platform to educate others about these subtle but impactful changes. He emphasized that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness, and that with the right tools and mindset, quality of life can be preserved. Beyond the clinical aspects, Elon's journey illustrated the emotional resilience needed to face cognitive decline. Accepting help, adapting to new limitations, and finding new ways to contribute require courage and humility. His story inspired many to view dementia not only as a loss but also as a challenge to redefine purpose and connection. Through his advocacy and personal example, Elon Musk transformed the conversation around dementia. By openly sharing the realities of planning and problem-solving difficulties, he helped dismantle stigma and fostered a community of understanding and hope. His journey underscored the importance of early detection, compassionate care, and the unyielding human spirit in confronting one of life's greatest challenges. Difficulty completing familiar tasks is one of the early red flags in dementia's onset, and it became a significant hurdle in Elon Musk's daily life. Tasks that were once second nature, driving his car, cooking a meal, or managing email, began to feel like daunting puzzles requiring excessive effort. Initially, these struggles were subtle. Elon might find himself rereading the same email multiple times before understanding it or pausing mid-drive to question his route. His mind, always sharp and agile, suddenly felt sluggish and uncooperative. The change was jarring not only for Elon but also for those around him. His assistants noticed he would lose track of steps when assembling a new gadget or forget to complete a routine task like signing important documents. At home, small frustrations grew as Elon found it difficult to follow through on activities he had done countless times before, like preparing breakfast or setting up his workspace. This difficulty struck at his independence and sense of self, bringing a creeping awareness that his brain was no longer functioning as it should. Friends and family tried to offer help, but Elon's pride and fear of losing autonomy made acceptance challenging. The inability to complete familiar tasks was more than mere forgetfulness, it was a signal that complex cognitive processes were breaking down. The brain regions responsible for procedural memory and sequencing, the step-by-step knowledge required to perform tasks, were being affected. For Elon, this meant rethinking how he approached everything from mundane chores to business operations. Medical evaluations confirmed the progression, and specialists suggested adaptive strategies. Elon embraced technological aids and organizational tools, turning to apps that provided step-by-step instructions, reminders, and alerts. He developed routines designed to reduce cognitive load and simplify decision-making. Even with these supports, some days were harder than others. Elon faced moments of frustration and despair, recognizing the widening gap between his capabilities and his ambitions. Yet, these challenges also opened new avenues of growth. He learned to lean more on his team, delegating tasks and trusting others in ways he never had before. This shift was humbling but necessary and brought a sense of shared purpose and connection. The difficulty in completing familiar tasks also had emotional consequences beyond frustration. Elon experienced episodes of anxiety, fearing accidents or mistakes that could endanger himself or others. Driving became a source of stress, leading him to reduce trips and rely more on chauffeured rides. Cooking and other household activities were modified to prioritize safety. These adaptations were part of a broader acceptance of change. Elon's experience underscores a vital message for anyone noticing similar difficulties in themselves or loved ones: early intervention and support can make a substantial difference. Simple adjustments, assistive technology, and a strong support network are key to maintaining quality of life. This chapter of Elon's story also highlights the emotional complexity of dementia, how cognitive decline affects identity, independence, and relationships. Through his openness, Elon helped reduce stigma and encouraged others to face these challenges with courage and hope. The road is difficult, but with understanding and compassion, people can navigate it with dignity. In the broader conversation about dementia, recognizing difficulty with familiar tasks as an early warning sign is essential. It prompts timely medical evaluation and opens the door to strategies that preserve autonomy. Elon Musk's journey brings this message to life, reminding us all to watch for these signs and act before the condition progresses too far. His story is not only one of loss but of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of profound change. One of the unsettling early signs of dementia that Elon Musk encountered was increasing confusion about time and place. For someone whose life was built around precision, schedules, and forward-thinking innovation, this symptom felt like an eerie distortion of reality. It began subtly. Elon would lose track of the day of the week or mix up appointments, events that initially seemed like harmless mistakes. However, as weeks passed, the confusion grew more frequent and more disorienting. On occasion, he found himself unsure of where he was, even in familiar settings. During a visit to one of his factories, Elon suddenly felt a wave of disorientation. The sprawling space, usually so familiar and full of purpose, seemed unfamiliar and confusing. The machines and workers looked distant, like elements of a dream slipping just out of reach. This disconnection triggered anxiety, but also alarm among those nearby who noticed his momentary bewilderment. The experience marked a turning point in Elon's understanding of his condition. Time, once linear and precise, became a fluid concept. He struggled to place events in chronological order or recall how much time had passed between meetings or milestones. Days seemed to blend into one another, and important dates lost their significance. These disruptions interfered with his ability to plan effectively and maintain control over his projects. Similarly, spatial confusion affected Elon's confidence in navigating both familiar and new environments. He once got briefly lost inside his own office building, unable to remember which floor housed his team or where the elevators were located. Simple trips to the grocery store sometimes ended with him forgetting the route home. These moments of disorientation were frightening, undermining his sense of independence and safety. Family and friends noticed the changes with concern. Elon's spouse became a vital source of support, helping him orient himself and reminding him gently of the day, date, and location. His team introduced measures to minimize confusion, such as clear signage and structured routines that provided anchors in time and space. Medical professionals explained that these symptoms stemmed from the brain's diminishing ability to process and integrate temporal and spatial information, a common feature in many forms of dementia. Early recognition of such confusion is crucial because it can lead to dangerous situations, such as getting lost or disoriented in unfamiliar environments. For Elon, adapting to these changes required humility and patience. He worked with occupational therapists who taught him strategies to stay grounded, using calendars, clocks with clear displays, and GPS devices to assist with navigation. He also practiced mindfulness and cognitive exercises aimed at enhancing focus and awareness. Emotionally, confusion about time and place brought bouts of fear and frustration. Elon had to confront the reality that his mind was becoming less reliable, a difficult truth for anyone, especially a man known for his mental acuity. Yet, through this challenge, he found moments of grace, when loved ones offered reassurance and companionship, when small victories reminded him of his resilience. This chapter of his journey underscores the importance of vigilance in recognizing confusion as a warning sign. Families and caregivers should watch for sudden or persistent disorientation and seek professional assessment without delay. Early intervention can improve safety and quality of life, slowing progression through tailored therapies and environmental modifications. Elon Musk's experience also highlights the broader human dimension of dementia. Behind the clinical symptoms are real fears, hopes, and relationships. His story invites compassion and understanding for those facing similar challenges, encouraging society to build supportive communities. By sharing his journey openly, Elon contributed to breaking down stigma and raising awareness about how confusion with time and place signals a need for care. His advocacy reminds us all to pay attention to these signs, act with empathy, and value the dignity of every individual navigating the uncertain landscape of cognitive decline. One of the more nuanced early signs of dementia that Elon Musk experienced was trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships, a symptom that often goes unnoticed but can have serious consequences. For someone whose life involved not only abstract thinking but also managing complex engineering projects, this decline affected both personal and professional realms profoundly. The challenges began subtly. Elon noticed difficulty reading maps or following directions, a skill he had once mastered with ease. On a trip to review a Tesla factory layout, he found himself struggling to interpret the blueprints and floor plans. What used to be intuitive spatial reasoning now required immense concentration and sometimes ended in confusion. These difficulties extended to everyday activities as well. Elon occasionally misjudged distances, causing awkwardness or minor accidents, knocking over a coffee cup or misplacing objects on his desk. The inability to gauge spatial relationships disrupted his usual fluidity in movement and interaction with the environment. Visual perception problems also affected his ability to recognize faces or objects in complex settings. Elon found that crowded spaces or busy visuals overwhelmed him, making it hard to focus or identify people quickly. This sometimes led to social awkwardness, as he hesitated or asked repetitive questions. Understanding visual information involves the brain's ability to process shape, color, depth, and spatial orientation simultaneously. Dementia-related damage to these neural pathways disrupts this intricate process, leaving individuals feeling disoriented and frustrated. Elon's engineering mind, once adept at visualizing three-dimensional designs and spatial relationships, was challenged in new ways. This symptom also posed safety risks. Difficulty judging spatial distance made driving increasingly hazardous. Elon recognized these dangers and reluctantly began to limit his driving, opting instead for chauffeured transportation. Around the home and workplace, modifications were introduced to reduce the risk of falls or accidents. Better lighting, clear signage, and decluttered spaces became necessities. Medical assessments confirmed that these visual spatial deficits were consistent with early-stage dementia, specifically impacting the parietal lobes, which integrate sensory information and coordinate spatial awareness. Understanding this helped Elon and his care team develop targeted strategies. He worked with occupational therapists on exercises designed to improve spatial awareness and adapt to these challenges. Using technology like augmented reality apps and visual aids also became part of his coping toolkit. Emotionally, trouble with visual images and spatial relationships took a toll. Elon, known for his confidence and precision, felt vulnerable when simple tasks required more effort or when he felt disoriented. There was frustration in adapting to limitations that were invisible but deeply impactful. His family provided essential support, offering reassurance and patience during moments of confusion. This chapter in Elon's journey highlights an important but often overlooked aspect of dementia, the way it alters how we see and interact with the world. It affects not only memory and cognition but also fundamental sensory experiences. For families and caregivers, recognizing these signs early allows for timely intervention, safety measures, and emotional support. Elon used his platform to raise awareness about visual spatial difficulties, emphasizing that these symptoms should never be ignored. By sharing his experience, he helped destigmatize this facet of dementia and encouraged proactive management. His story encourages everyone to look beyond the obvious symptoms and understand the complex ways dementia manifests. Visual spatial troubles can disrupt independence, social interaction, and confidence, but with support and adaptation, individuals can continue to lead meaningful lives. Elon Musk's experience reminds us that dementia is not a singular disease but a spectrum of challenges affecting mind, body, and spirit. Recognizing each symptom and addressing it with care, technology, and compassion offers hope amid uncertainty. This chapter also invites reflection on the resilience of the human spirit when faced with cognitive decline. Elon's journey through visual and spatial confusion illustrates that even the brightest minds must sometimes navigate darkness. Yet, with determination, community, and innovation, it is possible to find light and continue forward. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? One of the early signs of dementia that Elon Musk experienced, and which often goes unnoticed until it becomes a serious concern, is the difficulty with words in speaking or writing. For someone like Elon, whose career is built on communication, innovation, and the precise articulation of complex ideas, this symptom was particularly distressing. At first, the changes were subtle and easy to dismiss. Elon found himself searching for the right word during conversations or repeating phrases more than usual. Sometimes, he substituted a word with another that didn't quite fit, leading to confusion or awkwardness. These verbal slips were frustrating but didn't initially seem alarming. However, as time passed, the problems worsened. Elon noticed that writing emails or technical documents took longer and felt more laborious. He struggled to find clear, concise ways to express his thoughts. Sentences became jumbled, and his usual eloquence gave way to simpler, less precise language. This change in his verbal and written communication was noticeable not just to him but also to his colleagues, family, and friends. Conversations sometimes became strained as Elon struggled to follow or contribute meaningfully. His frustration grew when others failed to understand him or when he misunderstood questions or instructions. These difficulties reflect a decline in language abilities called aphasia, which is common in many types of dementia. Aphasia affects the brain's language centers, impairing the ability to find, process, and produce words correctly. For Elon, who was used to quick thinking and articulate speech, this loss was deeply unsettling. The inability to communicate effectively not only hindered his work but also isolated him socially. He became reluctant to participate in meetings or social gatherings, fearing embarrassment or misunderstanding. This withdrawal added to feelings of loneliness and depression, common emotional reactions in dementia's early stages. Recognizing the severity of his speech and writing problems, Elon sought help from speech-language pathologists. These specialists provided strategies and exercises to improve communication skills, compensate for word-finding difficulties, and maintain verbal interaction. Technology also played a role, with speech-to-text apps and communication aids becoming valuable tools in his daily routine. Elon learned to be patient with himself and to ask for clarification when needed, fostering more supportive and understanding interactions with others. His experience underscores the importance of early detection and intervention in language-related symptoms of dementia. Families and caregivers should pay close attention to changes in speech or writing abilities, as these can signal cognitive decline requiring medical evaluation. Early support can enhance quality of life and preserve social connections. Beyond the practical challenges, Elon's journey with word difficulties highlights the emotional complexity of dementia. The frustration of losing the ability to express oneself touches the core of identity and dignity. Elon's openness about his struggles helped reduce stigma around aphasia and encouraged others to seek help without shame. This chapter in Elon Musk's story also illustrates a broader truth about dementia's impact. It's not only about memory loss but also about the gradual erosion of essential cognitive functions that enable communication and connection. His story invites empathy and understanding for those facing these challenges and emphasizes the need for comprehensive care approaches. Elon's advocacy for awareness and education around language difficulties contributes to a more informed and compassionate society. His journey demonstrates that while dementia imposes significant obstacles, with support, adaptation, and resilience, individuals can continue to engage meaningfully with the world around them. Ultimately, Elon Musk's experience with new problems in speaking or writing offers valuable lessons for all of us. It reminds us to listen carefully to those struggling to communicate, to provide patience and encouragement, and to recognize that behind every word difficulty is a person striving to be heard and understood. One of the early and often frustrating signs of dementia that Elon Musk experienced was misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps, a symptom that profoundly impacted both his personal life and professional responsibilities. For a man whose mind was always racing ahead with ambitious projects and intricate plans, the sudden inability to remember where he put everyday items was alarming. It began with small incidents, keys left in unusual places, glasses misplaced on a cluttered desk, or important documents buried under stacks of papers. Initially, these moments were dismissed as simple absent-mindedness or the result of a hectic schedule. However, as the misplacements became more frequent and unpredictable, Elon began to realize that something more serious was at play. What made these episodes particularly troubling was his growing difficulty in retracing his steps to locate missing items. In the past, he could easily remember the sequence of his actions and reverse them to find lost belongings. But now, this mental backtracking became unreliable. Elon often found himself wandering around his home or office, growing increasingly frustrated and anxious as he failed to recall where he last placed something important. This inability to retrace steps is a hallmark symptom of dementia, signaling impairments in memory and executive function. The brain regions responsible for working memory and spatial orientation struggle to form and retrieve the mental maps that guide us through daily tasks. For Elon, this cognitive decline threatened not only his efficiency but also his sense of control over his environment. The impact extended beyond lost keys or documents. Misplacing vital items during critical moments jeopardized professional deadlines and strained relationships. Colleagues noticed his growing distraction, and assistants found themselves stepping in more often to keep track of schedules and materials. At home, family members became concerned about his increasing forgetfulness and the emotional toll it took. Elon's frustration was palpable. As someone who had built his career on precision and innovation, the feeling of losing grip on such a basic skill was devastating. He wrestled with feelings of embarrassment and vulnerability, reluctant to admit the extent of his difficulties. This reluctance is common among those facing early dementia symptoms, often delaying diagnosis and treatment. Recognizing the pattern, Elon sought help from neuropsychologists who conducted detailed assessments. These evaluations confirmed the presence of cognitive decline affecting memory recall and spatial reasoning. Armed with this knowledge, Elon and his care team developed strategies to manage misplacing items and improve his ability to retrace steps. One effective approach involved creating consistent routines and designated places for important belongings. Elon began using labeled storage boxes, color-coded organizers, and digital reminders to reduce the chances of misplacement. He also adopted habit-forming techniques, such as always placing keys in a bowl near the door and keeping essential documents in a specific folder. Technology played a crucial role in supporting his memory. Smart home devices, calendar alerts, and GPS trackers for frequently lost items provided a safety net and alleviated some anxiety. Despite these tools, Elon acknowledged that the struggle with misplacing things was an ongoing challenge requiring patience and adaptation. Emotional support was equally vital. His family and close friends offered understanding and reassurance, helping him cope with the frustration and maintain self-esteem. Open communication about his difficulties fostered a supportive environment where Elon could express his fears without judgment. This chapter of Elon Musk's journey highlights the significance of misplacing things and the inability to retrace steps as early warning signs of dementia. Awareness of these symptoms can prompt timely medical evaluation and intervention, potentially slowing progression and improving quality of life. Elon's openness about his experience also serves to destigmatize cognitive decline, encouraging others to seek help early and embrace adaptive strategies. Beyond the practical aspects, his story emphasizes the emotional resilience required to face the gradual loss of mental faculties. It is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to adjust, find new ways to function, and maintain dignity amid change. For families and caregivers, understanding the frustration and vulnerability that accompany these symptoms is crucial. Providing structured support, fostering patience, and promoting independence where possible can make a meaningful difference. Elon Musk's journey through this challenge teaches us all valuable lessons about recognizing subtle cognitive changes, embracing technology and routines for support, and nurturing compassion in the face of dementia's impact. Ultimately, his story is a powerful reminder that even in the midst of loss, hope and strength can emerge. Through awareness, early action, and a caring community, individuals facing dementia can continue to lead meaningful, fulfilling lives. Decreased or poor judgment is a subtle but critical early sign of dementia that Elon Musk encountered during his challenging journey. Known for his sharp decision-making and visionary leadership, noticing lapses in his judgment was unsettling. The symptom initially presented itself in small ways. Elon would make choices that seemed out of character or unwise, whether in business dealings, financial decisions, or even daily activities. At first, these incidents were sporadic and easy to rationalize as stress or fatigue. Perhaps he was overwhelmed by the sheer volume of his responsibilities, or distracted by personal concerns. However, as the lapses became more frequent and pronounced, it was clear that something deeper was affecting his cognitive abilities. One of the earliest noticeable examples was a misjudgment in investment timing. Elon, who typically had a keen sense for market trends, delayed critical decisions or acted impulsively without thorough analysis. This shift worried his advisors and colleagues, who noticed the contrast with his usual meticulous approach. Similarly, Elon began exhibiting poor financial decisions in his personal life, overspending on unnecessary items or neglecting routine bill payments. These behaviors not only affected his practical affairs but also hinted at declining executive function, the brain's ability to plan, assess risk, and make sound judgments. At home, family members observed moments when Elon's judgment faltered in everyday scenarios. He might ignore safety precautions, like leaving appliances on or forgetting to lock doors. In conversations, he sometimes responded inappropriately or failed to recognize social cues, further demonstrating compromised decision-making abilities. This deterioration of judgment is tied to damage in the frontal lobes of the brain, areas responsible for reasoning, problem-solving, and impulse control. As dementia progresses, these functions become impaired, leading to difficulties in evaluating situations or foreseeing consequences. For Elon, this symptom was particularly distressing because it threatened his independence and reputation. Making poor choices clashed with his identity as a competent and visionary leader. He struggled emotionally with feelings of embarrassment, frustration, and vulnerability. Recognizing the importance of addressing these challenges, Elon sought professional guidance. Neuropsychological assessments helped clarify the extent of his judgment impairments and informed a tailored care plan. Support systems were put in place to assist with decision-making, including trusted advisors and family members stepping in to provide guidance and oversight. Elon also learned to implement practical strategies to compensate for judgment lapses. These included establishing routines, creating checklists, and setting up automatic bill payments to reduce the cognitive load of daily decisions. He practiced mindfulness techniques to enhance self-awareness and reflection before making choices. Technology offered additional support through reminders, alerts, and decision aids integrated into his daily life. Emotionally, dealing with decreased judgment required resilience and acceptance. Elon worked with counselors to process the psychological impact of losing control over decisions that once came effortlessly. Open communication with loved ones helped create a collaborative environment where concerns could be expressed without shame or blame. This chapter in Elon Musk's story underscores the significance of poor judgment as an early dementia warning sign. It highlights the need for vigilance by individuals, families, and healthcare providers to recognize subtle changes and intervene promptly. Early detection allows for the implementation of strategies that protect safety and preserve autonomy as much as possible. Elon's transparency about his struggles contributes to breaking the stigma surrounding cognitive decline and poor judgment, encouraging others to seek help early and embrace support. Moreover, his experience reflects a universal truth about dementia's impact. It not only affects memory but also critical thinking and decision-making, which are essential for everyday functioning and quality of life. Understanding this broader scope is vital for comprehensive care and compassion. For caregivers, supporting someone with impaired judgment involves balancing assistance with respect for independence. It requires patience, empathy, and clear communication to navigate complex decisions together. Elon's journey through decreased judgment teaches us all valuable lessons about recognizing cognitive changes, using resources effectively, and fostering supportive networks. Ultimately, his story is one of courage in facing the vulnerability that comes with dementia, and hope in adapting to new ways of living. With awareness, early action, and a strong community, individuals affected by dementia can maintain dignity, safety, and connection, continuing to contribute meaningfully to their families and society. One of the early signs of dementia that became painfully clear in Elon Musk's journey was his gradual withdrawal from work and social activities, a symptom often overlooked but deeply significant. Elon, a man known for his relentless drive and boundless energy, began to step back from the very pursuits that defined his identity. The withdrawal was subtle at first. He found himself declining invitations to social gatherings or meetings that he once eagerly anticipated. At work, he increasingly delegated responsibilities or avoided complex projects, citing fatigue or a need to focus elsewhere. These changes puzzled those around him because Elon had always been a powerhouse of productivity and innovation. The reason behind this withdrawal was multifaceted. Cognitive decline made participation in social and professional environments more challenging and less enjoyable. Difficulty keeping up with conversations, remembering details, or managing multitasking contributed to a growing sense of overwhelm. Instead of facing embarrassment or frustration, Elon chose to retreat. Social withdrawal is a common and early indicator of dementia, reflecting both cognitive impairment and emotional struggles. For Elon, the decline in confidence to engage with others and the fear of making mistakes or appearing off were powerful motivators to isolate. This retreat had a ripple effect. As Elon pulled away, his relationships with colleagues, friends, and even family members strained. The support network that was once a source of strength began to weaken, increasing feelings of loneliness and depression. The loss of social connection also accelerated cognitive decline, creating a vicious cycle. Recognizing the gravity of this symptom, Elon's care team focused on re-engaging him in meaningful activities at a comfortable pace. They encouraged participation in small group settings and supported involvement in hobbies that provided joy without overwhelming cognitive demands. Therapeutic interventions, such as cognitive stimulation therapy and social skills training, were introduced to help maintain engagement. Technology also offered new opportunities for connection. Elon embraced video calls and social media to stay in touch with loved ones and professional contacts, adapting his social interactions to his changing capabilities. Emotionally, overcoming withdrawal required addressing underlying fears and frustrations. Counseling and support groups helped Elon process feelings of loss and rebuild self-esteem. Family and friends played a crucial role in providing encouragement, patience, and understanding. This chapter highlights how withdrawal from work and social activities is not just a symptom of dementia but a significant risk factor for worsening cognitive and emotional health. Early identification and intervention are critical to breaking this cycle. Elon Musk's story brings attention to the need for compassionate approaches that honor individual preferences and capacities, fostering connection rather than isolation. It reminds caregivers and communities to create supportive environments where individuals with dementia feel safe to participate and contribute. Withdrawal often signals more than cognitive decline, it reveals the emotional impact of dementia and the human need for belonging and purpose. Elon's experience encourages all of us to recognize the signs early, reach out to those who may be retreating, and offer genuine support. Through awareness, empathy, and innovation, we can help maintain meaningful engagement for people facing dementia. Elon Musk's journey through withdrawal teaches us that even when cognitive abilities fade, the desire for connection remains. With the right support, individuals can continue to find joy, purpose, and community, enriching their lives and those around them. One of the most challenging and least understood early signs of dementia that Elon Musk faced was dramatic changes in mood and personality. For a man known for his charismatic leadership, unwavering confidence, and intense drive, the shifts in how he felt and behaved were both confusing and alarming, not only for him but for everyone around him. At first, the changes were subtle, almost imperceptible. Elon found himself feeling unusually irritable or anxious, emotions that seemed to flare up without clear cause. These mood swings happened suddenly and sometimes without warning, leaving Elon feeling like a stranger in his own mind. Friends and colleagues noticed that his demeanor fluctuated between bouts of impatience and moments of uncharacteristic sadness or withdrawal. Over time, these mood changes intensified. Elon experienced periods of deep depression where even the most exciting projects felt daunting and joyless. His once optimistic outlook was clouded by feelings of hopelessness and frustration. At other times, he became unusually suspicious or paranoid, worrying that people were against him or doubting his intentions. These personality changes were not just shifts in mood but profound alterations in how Elon interacted with the world. People who had known him for years struggled to recognize this different version of Elon. He was less tolerant of criticism, more prone to anger, and sometimes showed inappropriate behaviors that were out of character. This upheaval was deeply distressing. Understanding these changes requires recognizing that dementia affects not only memory and cognition but also emotional regulation and personality. The disease alters brain regions such as the frontal and temporal lobes, which control mood, impulse control, and social behavior. These neurological changes manifest as emotional instability and altered personality traits. For Elon, coping with these symptoms meant grappling with loss on multiple levels, not just of his cognitive abilities but of his sense of self. It was a challenge to reconcile the person he remembered being with the one he was becoming. These emotional struggles often led to feelings of isolation, as others were unsure how to respond to the unpredictable mood swings or personality shifts. The stigma surrounding mental health and dementia added another layer of difficulty, making open conversations about these changes rare and fraught. To address these challenges, Elon sought support from mental health professionals who specialized in dementia-related mood disorders. Therapy, including cognitive behavioral techniques and medication when appropriate, helped manage symptoms like depression and anxiety. His family and caregivers were educated about the nature of these changes to foster empathy and patience. Creating a supportive environment where Elon felt safe to express his emotions without judgment was crucial. Routine, familiar surroundings, and calming activities also help stabilize mood fluctuations. Social support networks, including support groups for people with dementia and their families, provided connection and understanding. Elon's experience highlights an important but often overlooked aspect of dementia, the emotional and personality changes that can be as debilitating as memory loss. For caregivers, recognizing these signs is vital to providing compassionate care and preventing misunderstandings. It also underscores the need for medical evaluation and treatment of mood disorders in dementia patients. This chapter in Elon Musk's journey teaches us that dementia is a complex, multifaceted condition affecting every aspect of a person's being. Addressing the emotional and personality symptoms with the same urgency as cognitive decline improves quality of life for both patients and their loved ones. Elon's openness about these struggles contributes to breaking down stigma and encouraging others to seek help. It reminds us that behind the cognitive symptoms are human emotions deserving of understanding and compassion. In the broader context, Elon Musk's story offers hope. Despite profound changes, with the right support, individuals can find moments of peace, connection, and meaning. It calls on families, communities, and healthcare providers to work together in creating environments that honor the whole person, not just the disease. Ultimately, the lesson is one of empathy, recognizing that mood and personality changes in dementia are expressions of a brain in transition and a heart still longing for love and acceptance. Elon's journey through these emotional challenges is a powerful reminder that while dementia alters who we are, it does not erase the human spirit. One of the early and often subtle signs of dementia that Elon Musk encountered was difficulty finding the right words or following conversations, a symptom that slowly but surely crept into his daily interactions and created unexpected barriers in both his personal and professional life. For someone as articulate and sharp-minded as Elon, known for his visionary speeches and complex discussions, this impairment was both surprising and distressing. The trouble began innocuously. Elon would occasionally stumble over a word or struggle to recall a specific name during meetings or casual conversations. At first, these moments were brief and easily dismissed as normal lapses or distractions from an overloaded schedule. However, over time, the frequency and severity of these language difficulties increased, signaling a deeper cognitive decline. What made this symptom particularly challenging was its impact on communication, a fundamental human need and a critical skill for Elon's multifaceted roles. He found himself pausing more often mid-sentence, searching for words that seemed just out of reach. Simple vocabulary escaped him, and he sometimes substituted incorrect words without realizing it. This caused confusion among listeners and occasional embarrassment for Elon. In group discussions, following the flow of conversation became exhausting. Rapid exchanges, overlapping dialogues, and complex topics left him feeling overwhelmed and disconnected. Elon's ability to contribute meaningfully was hampered, leading to withdrawal from social and professional gatherings. The frustration of struggling to express thoughts clearly eroded his confidence and increased his anxiety. This symptom, known as aphasia, is common in dementia and arises from damage to language processing centers in the brain, particularly in the left hemisphere's temporal and frontal lobes. These areas are essential for word retrieval, sentence construction, and comprehension. As dementia progresses, these neural networks deteriorate, causing difficulties in both expressive and receptive language skills. For Elon, this meant that communicating ideas, once a source of strength and inspiration, became a daily battle. The emotional toll was significant. He experienced feelings of isolation and loneliness, as miscommunications led to misunderstandings and sometimes social withdrawal. The fear of being judged or perceived as incompetent compounded his stress. Friends, colleagues, and family noticed his struggle and often offered assistance or patience, but Elon was acutely aware of the change in dynamics. To manage these challenges, Elon and his care team adopted multiple strategies focused on preserving communication and reducing frustration. Speech therapy played a crucial role, helping him practice word-finding techniques, improve comprehension, and develop alternative ways to express himself, such as gestures or writing. Environmental modifications, like minimizing background noise and encouraging slower-paced conversations, made interactions more manageable. Technology also became a valuable aid. Elon used voice-to-text applications, speech-generating devices, and reminder apps to support his communication needs. These tools allowed him to maintain a degree of independence and continue participating in work and social life. Emotional support was equally vital. Counseling helped Elon cope with the psychological impact of his language difficulties, addressing feelings of embarrassment, anxiety, and grief over lost abilities. Family and friends received education on how to communicate effectively, practicing patience, active listening, and positive reinforcement. This created a supportive atmosphere where Elon felt safe to express himself without fear of judgment. Elon Musk's experience with difficulty finding words and following conversations highlights a critical but often misunderstood aspect of dementia. It underscores the importance of early detection and intervention to maintain quality of life and social engagement. His story encourages individuals and caregivers to pay close attention to subtle language changes and seek professional assessment when concerns arise. Furthermore, Elon's journey teaches valuable lessons about resilience and adaptation. Despite the challenges, he continued to find ways to communicate and connect, demonstrating that loss of language skills does not mean loss of voice or identity. This chapter also serves as a reminder to society about the need for empathy and accommodation for those with communication impairments. Simple adjustments in conversation style and environment can make a significant difference. Elon's story is a call to action to foster inclusive communities where everyone's voice is heard and valued, regardless of cognitive limitations. Ultimately, difficulty with words and conversations in dementia is not just a clinical symptom but a deeply human experience affecting relationships and self-expression. Elon Musk's journey through this challenge exemplifies courage and determination, inspiring hope that with support and innovation, individuals facing dementia can continue to engage meaningfully with the world around them. One of the subtle yet significant early signs of dementia that Elon Musk experienced was misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps, a symptom that gradually eroded his confidence and sense of control. For a man whose life revolved around precision, innovation, and detail, the frustration of not finding everyday objects became a daily challenge. Initially, these incidents were minor: keys left on the kitchen counter, misplaced phone chargers, or forgotten appointments. Elon attributed them to stress or a hectic schedule, common excuses many use when overwhelmed. However, over time, the frequency and seriousness of these episodes increased, revealing a deeper problem. What made this symptom particularly troubling was the accompanying inability to retrace his steps to locate the missing items. Instead of recalling where he last placed something, Elon found himself confused, often searching aimlessly or asking for help. This loss of spatial memory and problem-solving skills is a hallmark of early dementia and indicates damage to brain regions responsible for memory encoding and retrieval, such as the hippocampus. For Elon, this meant a gradual loss of independence and growing reliance on others. The misplacement of important items, documents, electronic devices, even car keys, began to interfere with his daily routines and professional responsibilities. This led to missed meetings, delayed projects, and heightened stress. At home, family members noticed the increasing pattern of lost items and the frustration it caused. The inability to retrace steps was particularly alarming because it signaled more than forgetfulness; it reflected cognitive decline affecting planning, attention, and spatial awareness. Elon's efforts to compensate included creating designated spots for essential items, using labels and reminders, and adopting organizational tools like apps and smart devices to track belongings. These strategies helped mitigate some of the daily challenges but could not entirely eliminate the distress caused by this symptom. Emotionally, Elon struggled with feelings of embarrassment and vulnerability. The once meticulous and organized entrepreneur found himself dependent on others for simple tasks, which was a difficult adjustment. This experience illuminated the emotional impact of cognitive decline beyond the cognitive symptoms themselves. Caregivers and family members played a crucial role in providing patience, reassurance, and practical assistance. They adapted the living environment to be more dementia-friendly, reducing clutter and creating consistent routines to help Elon maintain as much autonomy as possible. This chapter in Elon Musk's story highlights the importance of recognizing misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps as early dementia signs. It underscores the need for timely intervention and support to preserve quality of life and independence. Elon's experience teaches us that these symptoms, while seemingly minor at first, can signal serious underlying brain changes that require attention. It also emphasizes the value of empathy and understanding from those around individuals facing such challenges. Misplacing items is a universal human experience, but when it becomes persistent and coupled with an inability to recover lost objects, it warrants medical evaluation. Elon's journey demonstrates how incorporating organizational aids, environmental adjustments, and social support can help manage this symptom effectively. Beyond practical solutions, his story is a reminder of the emotional journey that accompanies cognitive decline. The feelings of loss and frustration must be acknowledged and addressed with compassion. In the broader context, Elon Musk's experience with misplacing things and difficulty retracing steps offers hope and guidance for others. It encourages early recognition, open communication, and proactive management to slow the progression of dementia symptoms and maintain dignity. It also challenges societal perceptions of cognitive decline, advocating for inclusive and supportive communities. Ultimately, this chapter of Elon's story is about resilience, finding ways to adapt, seek help, and continue living a meaningful life despite the challenges posed by dementia. It calls on all of us to be vigilant about early warning signs and to support those navigating the complexities of cognitive change with kindness and respect. One of the profound early signs of dementia that Elon Musk confronted was the increasing difficulty with planning or solving problems, a symptom that struck at the core of his exceptional ability to innovate and execute complex projects. Elon, known for his strategic mind and visionary problem-solving skills, found himself grappling with tasks that once came naturally. The changes began with small missteps, miscalculating timelines, struggling to prioritize tasks, or feeling overwhelmed when faced with multi-step problems. These moments were initially dismissed as fatigue or stress, common in the high-pressure world Elon inhabited. However, as the difficulties persisted and intensified, it became clear that something more serious was at play. The hallmark of this symptom is the progressive impairment in executive functions, the cognitive processes responsible for planning, organizing, decision-making, and adapting to new situations. These functions are controlled by the brain's frontal lobes, which are particularly vulnerable in dementia. For Elon, the inability to devise and follow through on complex plans was devastating. It affected not only his professional responsibilities but also daily life. Simple activities like managing finances, preparing meals, or scheduling appointments became sources of confusion and anxiety. At work, tasks requiring strategic thinking and problem-solving, once his strengths, turned into obstacles. He found himself avoiding challenging projects or relying heavily on others to fill in gaps. This loss of confidence compounded feelings of frustration and helplessness. The impact extended to Elon's relationships as well. Colleagues and collaborators noticed the changes and sometimes questioned his judgment or reliability, unaware of the underlying cognitive decline. Family members felt the strain, stepping in to assist with decisions and planning, which altered the dynamic and introduced new emotional challenges. To address these issues, Elon and his support team implemented various strategies aimed at compensating for declining executive function. Breaking down complex tasks into smaller, manageable steps helped reduce overwhelm. Using planners, reminders, and digital tools assisted in organizing daily activities and deadlines. Therapy sessions focused on cognitive training and problem-solving exercises provided some improvement and maintained mental agility. Emotional support was essential throughout this process. Elon had to confront the reality of his changing abilities and adjust expectations. Counseling helped him process feelings of loss and develop coping mechanisms. Open communication with family and colleagues fostered understanding and patience. Elon's story emphasizes that challenges with planning and problem-solving are not just cognitive issues but deeply affect identity, independence, and self-worth. Early detection and intervention can make a significant difference in managing these symptoms and maintaining quality of life. This chapter also highlights the importance of a supportive environment, both professional and personal, in helping individuals with dementia navigate their changing capabilities. For caregivers and loved ones, recognizing this symptom means offering practical assistance without undermining autonomy and respecting the individual's dignity. It calls for patience, empathy, and collaboration. Elon Musk's journey through executive function decline is a powerful reminder that dementia impacts every facet of life, requiring holistic care approaches that address cognitive, emotional, and social needs. Despite the challenges, his experience inspires hope and resilience. Through adaptive strategies, technological support, and unwavering support from those around him, Elon continued to contribute and find meaning. His story encourages broader awareness about the signs of dementia and the importance of early action. It invites society to build inclusive spaces where individuals with cognitive impairments are valued and empowered. In conclusion, difficulties with planning and problem-solving are critical warning signs of dementia that should never be ignored. They signal underlying brain changes affecting fundamental skills essential for everyday functioning and independence. Elon Musk's experience sheds light on this symptom's profound impact and the potential for managing it through compassion, innovation, and community support. His journey teaches us that while dementia alters abilities, it does not diminish the human spirit's capacity for adaptation, connection, and purpose. Life may present unexpected challenges, but with the right support, love will always lead the way. As Elon Musk's journey through the early signs of dementia unfolds, it becomes clear that understanding these symptoms is not just about recognizing deficits but about embracing a comprehensive approach to care, awareness, and hope. The road ahead for individuals facing dementia, and their families, depends heavily on expert insights, emerging research, and societal support systems that foster dignity and quality of life. Leading neurologists and dementia specialists emphasize the critical importance of early detection. The 10 signs highlighted through Elon's story, ranging from memory loss and disorientation to mood changes and executive dysfunction, are often the first clues that alert physicians to the possibility of dementia. Early diagnosis enables timely intervention, which can slow progression, improve symptom management, and allow individuals to participate actively in decisions about their care and future. Experts agree that dementia is a complex syndrome with multiple causes, including Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and frontotemporal dementia. Each type has distinct features but overlapping symptoms that make professional evaluation essential. Advances in brain imaging, genetic testing, and biomarker analysis now provide tools to differentiate among these conditions more accurately. Beyond medical diagnosis, specialists stress the importance of a multidisciplinary approach involving neurologists, psychologists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, and social workers. This team approach addresses not only cognitive symptoms but emotional well-being, communication challenges, and practical needs. The goal is to maintain independence as long as possible and support meaningful engagement with life. Elon's experience underscores the value of personalized care plans. What works for one person may not suit another, requiring flexibility and ongoing assessment. Non-pharmacological interventions, such as cognitive stimulation therapy, physical exercise, social activities, and nutrition, play vital roles in enhancing brain health and quality of life. Medications, when appropriate, can help manage symptoms but are not cures. Experts also highlight the profound impact of caregiving. Family members and professional caregivers face emotional, physical, and financial burdens. Support networks, respite care, and education are essential to prevent burnout and promote compassionate care. Technology is emerging as a powerful ally. From wearable devices that monitor safety to apps that aid memory and communication, innovation is transforming dementia management. Elon Musk's own background in technology and innovation offers a hopeful lens on how future advances may improve outcomes and empower those affected. The stigma surrounding dementia remains a significant barrier. Experts call for public education to foster understanding, reduce fear, and encourage early help-seeking behavior. Communities must become dementia-friendly, promoting inclusion and accessibility. Research continues at a rapid pace, with promising developments in understanding disease mechanisms, potential preventive measures, and novel therapies. Clinical trials are exploring vaccines, gene therapies, and drugs targeting amyloid plaques and tau proteins, hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. Lifestyle factors also gain attention. Evidence supports that maintaining cardiovascular health, engaging in lifelong learning, managing stress, and fostering social connections contribute to cognitive resilience. Elon Musk's journey reflects these principles, emphasizing that while dementia poses formidable challenges, it also reveals human strength, adaptability, and the enduring power of connection. This story is a call to action for individuals to recognize early signs and seek help, for families to provide compassionate support, and for society to invest in research, care infrastructure, and awareness. The road ahead is complex but not without hope. With ongoing advances and a united approach, we can envision a future where dementia is better understood, managed, and ultimately prevented. Elon Musk's story, while personal and profound, resonates universally. It reminds us that behind the clinical symptoms are lives full of dreams, emotions, and relationships worth preserving. It challenges us to look beyond the diagnosis to the person and to build a world where dignity, love, and innovation lead the way. In closing, dementia is more than a disease, it is a shared human experience that calls for empathy, courage, and collective effort. The early signs we must never ignore are not just warnings but invitations, to act, to care, and to hope. Elon Musk's journey inspires us to heed these signs, support those affected, and work toward a future where dementia's impact is diminished, and the human spirit thrives. As Elon Musk's journey through the early signs of dementia draws to a close, it is time to reflect on the profound life lessons woven throughout his experience and the broader truths about love, resilience, and hope. Dementia, often seen solely as a medical condition defined by loss and decline, reveals through Elon's story a narrative rich with human complexity and emotional depth. One of the most powerful lessons is the importance of awareness and proactive action. Recognizing early signs, whether it be memory lapses, confusion, language difficulties, or mood changes, is crucial. Ignoring these warning signals not only delays diagnosis but can increase the burden on individuals and families. Elon's journey underscores that early intervention allows for better management, planning, and the opportunity to engage fully in life while cognitive abilities remain relatively intact. Another lesson centers on the significance of support networks. Dementia does not affect individuals in isolation, it impacts families, friends, caregivers, and communities. Elon's story highlights how patience, understanding, and empathy from loved ones create an environment where challenges become more manageable and emotional burdens lighter. The shift from independence to interdependence can be difficult, but it also opens avenues for deeper connection and mutual care. Resilience emerges as a central theme. Despite the setbacks and frustrations inherent in cognitive decline, Elon's determination to adapt, seek help, and maintain his identity shines through. Resilience is not about denial or false optimism but about confronting reality with courage, finding new ways to engage with the world, and holding on to hope. This mindset is essential not only for those diagnosed but for everyone touched by dementia's reach. The story also reveals the transformative power of technology and innovation in enhancing quality of life. Elon's embrace of assistive devices, apps, and therapy illustrates how tools can bridge gaps in memory, communication, and independence. The integration of technology with compassionate care represents a promising frontier in dementia management. Importantly, Elon's journey teaches us about the value of dignity and respect. Individuals with dementia deserve to be seen beyond their diagnosis, recognized for their humanity, history, and potential. The stigma and fear surrounding dementia can be as debilitating as the symptoms themselves. By sharing stories like Elon's, society can foster acceptance, reduce isolation, and create inclusive environments that honor every person's worth. On a philosophical level, dementia prompts reflection on life's impermanence and what truly matters. Elon's experience invites us to consider the essence of identity, memory, and relationships. While cognitive functions may fade, the core of who we are, our values, emotions, and connections, remains vital. This perspective encourages a shift from focusing solely on loss to appreciating the moments of joy, love, and meaning that endure. The narrative concludes with a call for ongoing research and advocacy. Elon's story, while personal, echoes millions of others and fuels the urgency to develop better treatments, preventive measures, and support systems. It challenges policymakers, healthcare providers, and communities to prioritize dementia as a public health issue requiring comprehensive response. Finally, Elon Musk's journey through the early signs of dementia embodies a testament to human spirit and hope. It reminds us that life is unpredictable and full of surprises, but love, whether from family, friends, or oneself, will always lead the way. His story is an invitation to embrace vulnerability, seek help without shame, and live fully despite challenges. In closing, dementia teaches us not only about brain health but about compassion, resilience, and the enduring power of connection. Elon Musk's reflections inspire us to listen carefully to early signs, act with kindness, and walk together toward a future where every life touched by dementia is met with hope, dignity, and unwavering support. Navigating the journey through dementia is undeniably challenging, but with the right strategies, support, and mindset, both patients like Elon Musk and their caregivers can find ways to manage symptoms, maintain quality of life, and foster meaningful connections. This chapter focuses on practical tips and tools that can empower individuals facing early signs of dementia and those who stand beside them on this path. First and foremost, organization and routine are vital. Dementia disrupts memory and cognitive functions, so establishing daily routines creates structure and predictability that help reduce anxiety and confusion. Elon found that keeping a consistent schedule for meals, medications, activities, and rest was essential. Writing down daily tasks, appointments, and reminders on calendars or digital devices ensures nothing gets overlooked. Using checklists and setting alarms can also reinforce these routines. Simplifying the environment minimizes distractions and decreases the risk of misplacing important items. Designating specific places for keys, glasses, wallets, and medications aids memory by creating visual cues. Labeling cupboards, drawers, and rooms with clear signage can also assist with navigation and reduce frustration. Communication strategies are equally important. Caregivers should use simple, clear language and maintain eye contact when speaking to someone with dementia. Patience is crucial, allow extra time for processing and responding. Nonverbal cues such as gentle touch or a calm tone can convey reassurance. Avoid arguing or correcting repeatedly, as this often increases agitation. Instead, validating feelings and redirecting conversations to positive topics helps maintain emotional balance. Cognitive stimulation remains a powerful tool to slow decline and improve mood. Engaging in puzzles, reading, memory games, or arts and crafts encourages brain activity. For Elon, using apps designed for cognitive exercises provided a convenient way to practice mental skills daily. Physical activity is another cornerstone of well-being. Regular exercise improves circulation, boosts mood, and supports overall brain health. Simple activities like walking, stretching, or chair exercises adapted to ability levels can be incorporated safely. Social interaction combats isolation and loneliness, which are common and detrimental in dementia. Elon maintained contact with friends and family through visits, phone calls, and video chats. Support groups for patients and caregivers offer shared experiences and emotional support, reducing feelings of isolation. Nutrition cannot be overlooked. A balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats supports brain function. Staying hydrated is equally important. Limiting processed foods, sugars, and excessive alcohol reduces inflammation and other risk factors. Medication management requires careful attention. Patients and caregivers should maintain an updated list of all medications, doses, and schedules. Using pill organizers and setting reminders help ensure adherence. Regular consultations with healthcare providers allow for monitoring effects and adjusting treatment as needed. Safety adaptations at home protect independence while minimizing risk. Installing grab bars, adequate lighting, and removing tripping hazards prevent falls. Using technology such as GPS trackers or emergency alert systems provides peace of mind for families. Financial and legal planning is a critical, often difficult step. Early in the diagnosis, individuals should consider setting up power of attorney, advance directives, and wills. Consulting with elder law attorneys and financial planners ensures decisions align with wishes and protect assets. Emotional health is foundational. Both patients and caregivers may experience grief, anxiety, depression, or frustration. Seeking counseling or therapy, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in enjoyable activities support mental well-being. Elon's journey highlights the importance of self-compassion and seeking help without stigma. Educating oneself about dementia fosters understanding and prepares for future challenges. Reliable sources, healthcare professionals, and advocacy organizations provide valuable information. Finally, advocacy and community involvement empower individuals to contribute despite limitations. Elon participated in awareness campaigns and supported research initiatives, turning personal challenges into broader impact. This not only enhanced his sense of purpose but also helped destigmatize dementia. In conclusion, while dementia presents formidable challenges, practical strategies and compassionate support can improve quality of life for those affected and their caregivers. Elon Musk's experience teaches us that with preparation, patience, and hope, it is possible to navigate this journey with dignity and resilience. Recognizing early signs, seeking timely help, and adopting these tools empowers everyone to face dementia's uncertainties with strength and grace. As the world faces the growing impact of dementia, Elon Musk's journey through the early signs of this condition offers a lens into not only the personal challenges but the collective responsibility to build a dementia-friendly future. This chapter explores the role of hope, innovation, and community in shaping that future, emphasizing how advances in technology, healthcare, and social awareness can transform lives. One of the most promising aspects of this journey is the rapid pace of innovation. From diagnostic tools that detect dementia earlier and more accurately, to treatments aiming to slow or halt progression, science is making strides that were unimaginable a few decades ago. For Elon, who has always been at the forefront of technological breakthroughs, this progress offers both hope and practical solutions. Emerging biomarkers and brain imaging techniques now allow clinicians to identify subtle changes long before significant symptoms appear, enabling earlier intervention. Precision medicine, tailoring treatments to individual genetic and biological profiles, is also gaining ground, promising more effective and personalized care. Beyond medical advances, technology plays a crucial role in supporting daily life. Smart home devices, wearable sensors, and AI-powered assistants can monitor health, remind individuals about medications, and alert caregivers in emergencies. Elon's interest in AI and robotics inspires visions of compassionate machines that can provide companionship and assistance, bridging gaps in human caregiving resources. Community and social inclusion are equally vital. Creating dementia-friendly environments means designing public spaces, workplaces, and services that accommodate cognitive impairments with empathy and practicality. Training for healthcare workers, first responders, and even business employees fosters understanding and reduces stigma. Social programs that encourage participation in activities tailored to abilities help maintain a sense of belonging and purpose. Education campaigns, inspired by stories like Elon's, raise public awareness and promote early recognition of dementia signs. Governments and nonprofit organizations worldwide are increasingly prioritizing dementia in their health agendas, allocating funds for research, caregiver support, and infrastructure development. These efforts acknowledge that dementia is not only a medical challenge but a societal one requiring coordinated action. Family and caregiver support programs are expanding, recognizing the immense emotional and physical toll caregiving can impose. Respite care, counseling services, and financial assistance aim to sustain caregivers' well-being, which in turn improves outcomes for those with dementia. Ethical considerations also come to the forefront. As innovations advance, questions about privacy, autonomy, and consent arise. Balancing technological benefits with respect for individual rights requires thoughtful policies and ongoing dialogue among stakeholders, including patients, families, clinicians, and ethicists. Elon Musk's experience highlights the importance of hope grounded in realistic expectations. While current treatments cannot cure dementia, they can improve quality of life and extend meaningful engagement. Hope also motivates continued research and innovation, fueling efforts toward breakthroughs that could someday eradicate or prevent dementia. Ultimately, building a dementia-friendly future is a shared endeavor. It calls for empathy, education, investment, and innovation working hand in hand. Elon's story is a beacon encouraging society to move beyond fear and misunderstanding toward compassion and proactive care. It invites each of us to contribute, whether through advocacy, volunteerism, or simply fostering kindness in our communities. In closing, dementia challenges us to reimagine how we live together and support one another. The journey is difficult, but with hope, innovation, and community, it can lead to a future where dignity and quality of life prevail for all affected. Elon Musk's path illuminates this vision, reminding us that love and resilience will always lead the way, no matter the obstacles ahead. Dementia is often seen as an ending, a gradual loss of memory and independence, but Elon Musk's journey teaches us that it can also be a profound beginning. An opportunity to embrace change, find new strengths, and discover renewed purpose. This final chapter explores how individuals facing early signs of dementia and their loved ones can navigate the emotional landscape of diagnosis and beyond with resilience, optimism, and meaning. When the first signs of dementia appear, it's natural to experience a whirlwind of emotions: fear, denial, anger, and sadness. Elon felt these deeply, grappling with what felt like a sudden fracture in his identity and future plans. However, he soon realized that acknowledging these feelings without judgment was the first step toward acceptance and healing. Embracing change means allowing oneself to grieve losses while remaining open to new experiences. It requires a shift from trying to control what is slipping away to focusing on what remains: relationships, values, and the ability to find joy in small moments. Finding strength in vulnerability is a powerful lesson. Elon discovered that sharing his story openly created connections and support he hadn't anticipated. Vulnerability fosters authenticity, reduces stigma, and invites others to offer help and companionship. For many, this openness transforms the isolation of dementia into a shared human experience. Purpose can be redefined and reclaimed even as cognitive challenges increase. Elon found new meaning by engaging in advocacy, raising awareness, and supporting research. This gave him a sense of agency and contribution beyond his own diagnosis. Creative pursuits, volunteering, mentoring, or simply nurturing family bonds provide avenues to fulfill this need for significance. Self-care takes on heightened importance. Physical health, mental well-being, and spiritual practices form a triad of resilience. Exercise adapted to ability supports brain and body function. Mindfulness, meditation, and counseling help manage stress and anxiety. Spirituality or connection to personal beliefs offers comfort and hope. Caregivers also benefit from embracing self-care to sustain their energy and compassion. Relationships evolve in this journey. Elon's story highlights how honest communication, patience, and empathy deepen bonds. Family and friends learn to cherish present moments, celebrate achievements, and support autonomy wherever possible. Role reversals and changing dynamics require adjustment but can also reveal untapped strengths and love. Adaptation involves practical strategies as well. Utilizing assistive technologies, modifying living environments, and seeking professional guidance enhance safety and independence. Elon's proactive approach to planning and problem-solving exemplifies how preparation can ease transitions. Maintaining social connections combats loneliness and preserves identity. Participation in support groups, clubs, or community events tailored for cognitive impairment enriches life and fosters belonging. Advocacy empowers individuals and communities to shape dementia care policies, funding, and public attitudes. Elon's voice amplified the call for research, caregiver support, and dementia-friendly initiatives, demonstrating how personal experience fuels social change. Ultimately, embracing change in the face of dementia is a journey of courage, hope, and transformation. It challenges us to redefine success, value inner qualities, and live authentically despite uncertainty. Elon Musk's path reminds us that while dementia alters the course, it does not erase the human spirit. In closing, dementia's early signs should never be ignored, not only because they signal medical needs but because they herald a profound life chapter. By embracing change, finding strength, and cultivating purpose, individuals and their loved ones can navigate this chapter with grace, dignity, and hope for the future. This story stands as a testament to resilience and the enduring power of love, the ultimate guide through life's most unexpected journeys. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?